head of Catholic Church, Pope Francis on Sunday surprised pilgrims at the St. Peter's Square 2 weeks after leaving hospital when he made first public appearance at the end of the Mass for the Jubilee of the sick and healthcare workers, looking apparently more healthier and stronger than he was in late March 2025 when he made public appearance through the window of Gemelli Hospital in Rome, where he has been under medical care since February 14. He was hospitalized for pneumonia. Pope Francis, who stayed briefly at the event, was seen putting on what looked like a nasal cannula around his nose, probably fixed to aid his breathing. "Hello to everybody. Happy Sunday to all of you. Thank you very much," the Pope said in native language when he spoke at the event, with his voice seemingly weak and shaking. Pope Francis made a brief but moving appearance at the event. Arriving in a wheelchair, the Pope was assisted to the altar, where he gave his blessing and greeted the faithful, saying, "Happy Sunday to everyone, and thank you very much." It was observed his presence, lasting about 5 to 6 minutes, concluded with a huge applause for the Holy Father before he returned to the Vatican. It would be recalled that the 88-year-old pontiff spent 5 weeks in hospital with pneumonia in February and March, with his medical team saying that the Pope came close to death during the illness. Pope Francis had it difficult to thumb up as he appeared at a window of the Agostino Gemelli Polyclinic in Rome, on Sunday, March 23, 2025, where he has been treated for bronchitis and bilateral pneumonia since February 14, but he was seen today to have thumbed up to the crowds more at ease when compared to previous public appearance. According to CNN, Pope Francis appeared in better health than when he was last seen in public, which was 2 weeks shortly before he was released from Rome's Gemelli Hospital. At that time, he struggled to speak and raise his arms, but managed to wave to people and gave a thumbs up from a balcony. On Sunday, the Pope appeared to move his arms around with more ease. His voice was still weak, but stronger than 2 weeks ago. The Pope's appearance had not been previously announced. Crowds of worshippers gathered at Vatican's St. Peter's Square on Sunday when the Pope made his short appearance after a Mass dedicated to the sick. We had last month reported that the Vatican on Saturday says the head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, slept well on Friday night and now resting after he had had a breathing crisis on Friday afternoon which led to him vomiting, making the 88-year-old pontiff to be supported by a breathing machine. We had reported that the Vatican says Pope Francis is still experiencing complex or chronic health conditions that affect multiple parts of his body systems, but the head of the Catholic Church is resting calmly since on Thursday, adding that the prognosis or the likely outcome or the forecasted outcome of the current health conditions of the Pope is still guarded. This, as local media had earlier reported that the Pope confided on some of his aides that he may not make it alive, with reports of some Catholic officials already rehearsing for his funeral. The Pope was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on Friday, February 14, following a bout of bronchitis, with his doctors later diagnosing bilateral pneumonia. We had reported that despite the medical condition that he's under the high flow of oxygen in the hospital over double pneumonia. Pope Francis on Sunday, on the eve of the 3rd-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine launched by President Vladimir Putin-led Russia government, called on everyone in the world to remember victims of the war in Ukraine, describing the war which started on February 24, 2022 as painful, shameful for all humanity. We had also reported that the head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, is not out of danger and his health worsened on Saturday evening, says Vatican. The Pope's funeral is allegedly being rehearsed after the 88-year-old warned he may not survive pneumonia. The Swiss Guard protecting the Pope, 88, is rehearsing his funeral, with members under a curfew as they are preparing for the pontiff's death, Swiss newspaper Blick claims.
Buona domenica a tutti. Grazie tante.
Osasua Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.